What's up, guys? My name is Coach Fitz, and today I'm going to be talking about a clip that I came across on Instagram where Dwayne Wade was talking to somebody about setting goals, right? But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are just north of about 500 subscribers, so super excited about that. We're definitely getting the content out there to more people, but I definitely would like more people to see it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and at the least, hit the like button. It costs you nothing. If you're watching this video, please, please, please hit the like button. And like I said, my name is Coach Fitz, and this video that I'm going to show you, it it really stood out to me because it just it screamed victim mentality, right? It screamed victim mentality. And the issue that I tend to have with that is oftentimes many people will see a video like that and they don't really know what to do with it. Okay. And we live in a time now where it's so easy to go online and find people complaining about why things aren't working out for them, about their life, and all this other stuff. So easy to quit. Okay. So during this broadcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the video and just kind of let you know the parts that I agree with and disagree with and why. And then towards the end, I'm going to help you set goals. I'm going to take you step by step, just a quick overview, and teach you how to properly set a goal. Okay, so let me share my screen so that I can play this video. Okay, so here we go. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
But when you're a kid, they told us to write our goals down.
They did, and they lied.
And it's important when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You said they dumb.
They lied.
Well, tell me something new.
They said goals are dumb because a goal is the simplest way to fail. See, if you set it.
Okay, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. Okay. So it seems like they're starting off good. Oh, when we're kids, they tell us to write our goals down, blah, blah, blah. Then they start talking about goals are dumb. Okay. Goals are dumb. And the reasoning why goals are dumb is because they're the quickest way to fail. Goals are the quickest way to fail. So let's break that down real quick. I would actually argue that not having goals is the quickest way to fail. But then there becomes this logical problem of, well, if you don't have goals, then you can't fail, because in order to fail, there had to be something that you were trying to do, right? So there's that issue. So on a intellectual level, I agree. Having goals is the quickest way to fail because, right? Or no. Not having goals is the quickest way to fail, in my opinion. But let's just take what he's saying at face value and ignore what I'm saying for a moment, okay? If you set a goal and you fail quickly, that's amazing, right? That is amazing. If you set a goal and fail quickly, that is amazing. Why? Because if you fail, that means that if you have the self-awareness to know that you failed at something, that means that there's data. Okay, there's data. So now you can go back and say, what could I have done differently? What was it that made me fail? How can I improve upon this? Okay, you set a goal to sell a piece of property. Like I'm a real estate agent. I set a goal to close a deal by the end of the month. Let's say I don't reach it. Okay, by the end of the month, I failed because I set that goal, right? But if I look at it as an opportunity, oh, well, what was I doing this month that led me to not be able to close a deal? What could I have done better? Let me go. How many calls did I make? Oh, I see. I only made calls 5 hours. Next time I'll make 10 hours of calls and see how that goes. Right? It's an opportunity. It's a mindset. So yes, if the idea is that you set a goal and you didn't reach it and now you failed and you're no longer going to continue, good. That just lets you know that you weren't cut out for it sooner. Right? If you set a goal and you fail and you're not thousands of dollars in the hole and all this other stuff and you failed quickly, good for you. And you're not going to continue going and you're going to quit now, good for you. You found out that you're not cut out for this line of work sooner. And now you can take that money that you would have saved, or you can take all these other resources and time that you get back and go do something that's more for you. See, failure doesn't have to be this negative thing. There's an opportunity in it, right? Elon Musk. I was watching an interview with Elon Musk, and he talks about, like people say, oh, well, we saw one of your rockets blow up. We saw one of your rockets blow up, right? And he says, yeah, we push the limits of our rockets. We expect them to blow up, because when they blow up, we go and we collect the data and we fail fast so that we can innovate fast, right? But so many people are afraid of that phase where you may look bad, where people may say you're a failure, where people may say, oh, you're not cut out for this, right? That's what it's really about. That's why people are trying to avoid failure. But let's continue with the video, because he actually says some other things that I want to touch on as well. Okay, so here we go.
And you don't achieve it, you ruin your self-esteem. If you set a goal and you do achieve, congrats. But what if you could have done more? Dwayne,
all right. So he says, and let's back this up because I want y'all to pay attention.
Because a goal is the simplest way to fail. See, if you set a goal and you don't achieve it, you ruin your self-esteem.
Okay, right there. Right there. If you set a goal and don't achieve it, he says that you ruin your self-esteem. If you set a goal and you don't achieve it, you ruin your self-esteem. I would argue that if you set a goal and you don't achieve it and your self-esteem is ruined, you probably had low self-esteem before the goal. If your self-esteem is tied up in whether you achieve a goal or not, you already had low self-esteem. Your self-esteem should not be tied up in the results that you get, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether the results you wanted or didn't want. Your self-esteem should be tied up in you taking the time to understand that you are valuable, right? They should not be attached to how much money you have, whether you achieved your goals or not, whether you could have done more. Because he went on to say, and I'll play this part again too, in case y'all didn't catch it. He said, if you set a goal, but you could have done more, then what? I'll touch on that. Here's the thing, okay? Touching on when he says, if you set a goal and you don't achieve it and it ruins your self-esteem. This goes back to, if you cannot handle failing so that you can analyze that failure and get better, right? And you, in the process of doing that, realize that you have low self-esteem, that's a win. Because now you know you have low self-esteem. Now you know, okay, I have low self-esteem when I'm failing. That's something for me to work on. See, it's all an opportunity. But to sit here and say that goals are dumb because you have low self-esteem to begin with, and you not achieving that goal will make you aware of your self-esteem, is a loser's mindset. I'm just going to be real. It's a loser's mindset. It sounds like you're entitled and think that you should just be able to achieve your goals. And even if you achieve your goal, you're still going to complain and say, oh, well, I could have done more. Look, and I'm going to get into this when we set goals. Okay, I'm going to get into this. It's not going to be long. I just wanted to come on here and do a short video, but I totally disagree that setting goals and not achieving them is what ruined your self-esteem, what lowered your self-esteem. Okay, you had low self-esteem before. You brought it into entrepreneurship. You brought it into your goals. You brought it into whatever you were trying to do. And you put so much on this goal in an unhealthy way that now you are blaming the goal for your low self-esteem instead of looking in the mirror and saying, I haven't done the work to feel comfortable with myself. I haven't done the work to see the value of myself, the intrinsic value. And now I'm blaming other people. I'm blaming this goal. I'm blaming the fact that I didn't get these results. See, when you're accountable for yourself, you are not able to put your low self-esteem on the goal. The failure of the goal did not ruin your self-esteem, because you can't ruin something that was you can't ruin something that was whole. That doesn't even make sense. If you have a high level of self-esteem, you can't be ruined by this goal. That doesn't make sense. That's like saying I got a full tank of gas, but my car broke down because I'm out of gas. It don't make sense. If you have a high level of self-esteem, you're not going to be ruined if you fail your goal. All right. So let's go on. Let's go on, because he got a little more to say. All right. Here we go.
Set a goal and you do achieve it, congrats. But what if you could have done more? Dwayne, we all do something like this. At 26, I want to be married. At 28, Twitch, I want to have kids. By 30, I want to own a home. But what happens when you're 31 and you have none of those things? Now you start to question yourself. I no longer believe in goals. I believe in setting an objective with no limitations. Because a goal is an end towards which energy is aimed. But why in the world would I start something with the end in mind?
Okay, so a few things to unpack here, right? He says right here, what happens? He poses the question of what happens when you set these goals and you don't achieve them? Negative mindset to begin with, but let's walk through it. He says, well, what happens when you set these goals and you don't achieve them? What happens is, based on him, you start to question yourself. Isn't that a good thing? Like, when did it become so wrong to start questioning yourself? If you're setting goals and not achieving those goals, you should be questioning why. You should be questioning how you can achieve them. How do you think you're going to get better? How do you think you're actually going to reach those goals? When you go interview for a job, is it a bad thing that they question you? Hey, how do we know that you know what you say you know? Can you tell us about yourself? What are your experiences? Here's a problem. What would you do in this situation, right? I don't understand the loser mentality of, I'm so fragile that I can't question myself. I didn't get what I said I wanted, and I can't ask a question about it because my self-esteem is going to be ruined. And then he goes on to say, I no longer set goals. I set objectives with no limitations. Okay. What's the difference? What it sounds like you're saying is you set objectives where it doesn't even have to be realistic. In other words, you can't hold yourself accountable to it. And so you could just feel great because you don't have to be accountable, and you don't have to track your progress, and you don't actually have to get results. Right? You don't have to get results. This doesn't sound like an entrepreneur mindset, right? As entrepreneurs, what we know, this is probably geared towards the average person that can get a job and just go through, you know what I'm saying? But as entrepreneur, we know that without results, we don't eat. We don't get paid, right? So we have to question. We have to understand why things work, don't work, could work better, right? But to sit here and say, well, if you don't achieve your goal, now you're going to question yourself. Okay, what's wrong with that? I have no clue. But let's get into it, right? Because many people, and real quick, if you are still watching the video, maybe just hit the like button. Just hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. All right. Because I'm about to get into it, right? When he's talking about goals, he says, well, what happens when you say you want to make a certain amount of money about when you're 26 or whatever and be married and all this stuff? What happens when you don't achieve those, right? One of the problems, which I think when he talks about an objective with no limitations, one of the problems that people run into when they set goals is they don't know how to properly set a goal. They don't know how to properly set a goal. What do I mean by this? When you set a goal, and you can look this up, I teach this all the time when I'm coaching people and in multiple videos, and even in college, we went through this. And even when I was selling an insurance and in my real estate business, I use this. There's something called a SMART goal. It's an acronym. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through the letters. There's sometimes they change the letters out, but in general, I'm going to give you the general sense. Okay. For a SMART goal, there's 5 things that goal needs to have to be, a strong goal. Okay. A SMART goal, a goal that is able to be used as a tool to get you where you want. Okay. The S stands for specific. Okay. Specific. So in his example, I want to be married by 28. Okay. That's kind of specific. I want to be married by 28 or 30, whatever age he said. I want to be married by 30. Okay. Well, that's the big goal, right? That's the overarching goal. But there's things that come below it. There's sub goals that need to be specific. Okay. You want to be married by 28. What month? Specifically, what month? What day? What day by the time you're 30? What does that look like? What is the timeline? Like, when are we starting? Okay, I'm going to start dating at this time. My goal is to date and find a woman and date her for 3 months. And then after those 3 months, I start talking, or, I go into the relationship with talking about marriage. We date for 3 months. We do this. Like, there's sub goals where you're specific. Okay. So this idea of, well, what if I don't achieve it? Okay. When you're specific, it increases the chances that you're going to achieve it, because you know what you're actually going to be doing to reach the bigger goal. People just like say, oh, I set a goal because, I want to be married by 28. But you have to set sub goals that are specific. And even the larger goal, I would say that's too broad. I want to be married by the time I'm 28. Okay. You want to be married by the time you're 28, but specifically, I want to be married to someone who makes me feel happy by not the time I'm 28, but by January 30th, 2020. Maybe that's 6 months before you're 28. Who knows? But your goal needs to be specific. Okay. Next, it needs to be measurable. And I'm going to use entrepreneurship examples. I'm going to get away from the marriage and use entrepreneurship examples because they're easier to illustrate. Okay. If you are trying to, let's say I'm in real estate. Let's say I say, okay, I want to close 1 deal a month. I want to close 1 deal a month. Or let's say I want to make $5,000 a month. All right. I want to make $5,000 a month. Needs to be measurable, needs to be specific. I want to make $5,000 a month starting August 1st, 2022. Okay. So my deadline is by August 1st, I'm making $10,000 a month. How am I going to measure that? Okay. How am I going to measure whether I'm making progress towards that? And it's different for everybody. My measurement could be, okay, what do I need to do in order to get $5,000 a month or whatever? What do I need to do? okay, I need to cold call 100 people a day. Now my measurement is, am I making those calls? My measurement is I need to cold call 100 people a day and speak to at least 10. And in total, I need to make 500 calls a week. Now I'm able to measure it. How many calls am I making? Right? And so that way, when it comes to the end, and if you don't achieve your goal and you say, okay, I only made 200 calls a week. There you go. Okay. So it needs to be specific, measurable, achievable. Many people will say, oh, I want to make $1 million my first year. Okay. Well, it may happen, but is it really achievable? Is this something, what makes you think this is achievable for you, given your experience? Many people don't understand the value of this part of setting a goal, is evaluating and analyzing whether it is achievable. We like to think of goals as these mythical things that we just set. We set the goal and that's it, right? But a goal is a tool to get you to a larger goal or a larger target, or to ultimately facilitate a change that you want to make. I'll say that a goal is a tool to facilitate a change that you want to make. And so you need to set achievable goals, because we know whether something is achievable or not, okay, subconsciously. And what happens is we no longer follow our plan. We no longer hit those smaller goals, because at some point we realize we're not going to hit this. We're not going to do this. There ain't no way. Right? When you ever watch the end of a basketball game and the other team is up by like 20, watch the end. Watch the last minute, 30 seconds, right? The teams start holding the ball. They're not really trying anymore. Nobody's playing defense, because like we're not about to catch up in the last 30 seconds and they up 20, right? That's not achievable. So we have to be realistic, okay? So we have specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant, okay? So you have your bigger goal. I want to make $5,000 a month by October 1st. Now, are the sub goals that you're setting, are those relevant to the 5,000? So if I want to make $5,000 a month and I'm setting a goal where I eat cottage cheese 3 times a week, like, is that relevant to me hitting that $5,000? Or how relevant, how strong is the relevance, right? Because we could even go deeper and say, okay, if I cold call in the real estate example, it's going to yield this result. So that's relevant to it in terms of me getting it. But if I say, okay, I'm going to put up a billboard, right? Is that really relevant given my budget? Is that relevant given the research I've done on whether this billboard would work in that amount of time? Is it relevant for me to go and spend 10 hours a day working on my website? Is that really relevant? Like, how relevant is that, right? So that your goals need to be relevant as well. And the last one is time. So when he's talking about, I no longer set goals, I set objectives with no limitations, that's just rhetoric. That's just fancy talk, okay? When you set a goal, you need to have time limits. You need to have start times and deadlines, right? Especially for your sub goals, because those are usually your daily activities. So time blocking, okay? If you don't know what time blocking is, look it up. It's a great tool. I suggest every entrepreneur learn time blocking. And it's essentially where you block out time for specific activities. So there's your larger goal where you set a deadline and a start time. There's your sub goals, your smaller goals that you're doing to reach the larger goal that need to have timelines. Okay, I'm going to start calling at 8 a.m. on Monday, and I'm going to finish calling at 10 a.m. on Monday. Then I'm going to spend 30 minutes putting them in the CRM. Then I'm going to spend an hour or 30 minutes following up with people I've talked to in the past, right? You're time blocking. You're putting times to these things. so that there's a sense of urgency, so that there's a sense of focus, so you know what you're doing when you're doing it. So his whole notion of, well, if I set a goal and I don't achieve it, it ruins my self-esteem. How does that ruin your self-esteem when all you have to do is go back in there and switch up what you're doing? If your goal isn't specific enough, maybe now you know that. If you're not measuring it correctly and you get to the end and you say, you know what, I don't even know how I've been keeping track of things. If you go back and you say, was this goal really achievable? He talks about questioning. Oh, well, now you're going to question yourself. How do you think you grow? How do you think you grow? Like your cell phone, when you download apps, when you use certain things on your phone, companies are collecting data. And what are they doing? They're asking questions about you. We see he eating Chick-fil-A 3 times a week. What can we do to make sure he keeps doing that? What can we do to make sure he eats it 4 times a week? What can we do to make sure that when they come in, they feel valued, right? You get surveys to your email asking you questions. Hey, how was your experience? What can we do better? What did you think about the new chicken sandwich? What do you think about the Chick-fil-A sauce? Right? They're asking questions. Everyone else is asking questions about you because that information is valuable. So you can't ask questions about yourself because your self-esteem is ruined. Okay. Sounds like fancy talk to me. But look, man, I'm about to wrap this up. I've been going about 25 minutes now, a little over 25 minutes. I hope that in part helped you set goals. Understand that the goals go a little bit deeper. I didn't even get into the upfront research, right? When you set these goals, it's like a little mini research project. It's not just about writing something down. It's a mini research project where you are going in and you are researching this thing that you want to do. What is it going to take? What is it that I actually want? What can I do? What are the results that other people are seeing? And then you start to formulate these goals. That dude was talking about the goal of I'm gonna write it down and manifest it. Nah. Over here on this side, when we set goals, they're not just something we write down. They're a lifestyle. They're something that we live by. They're a tool. A goal is a tool to an entrepreneur or to anybody that really wants to see change in their life. A goal is a tool that facilitates change. Okay? I'll take a step further. A goal is a tool that facilitates the change you want to see, because your life will change regardless if you set goals or not. It's just you're not really in control of it. That goal is going to facilitate your life changing in the direction you want it to change. Okay, so goals are important. So to wrap it up, man, I hope y'all got some value out of this. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, share, all that great stuff, man. Again, my name is Coach Fitz. What I do is I help entrepreneurs and highly motivated people use their time and increase the value of their time to start actually getting results. And this topic, I seen it talking about goals are not, goals are dumb. So I had to speak up and say something. Goals are not dumb. But that's what I do in a nutshell. If you want to book a free consultation with me, click the info down in the description. Also, let me know what you think of the video. And, once I hit around 700 to 1,000 subscribers, I may start doing live videos more and bring people up and have one-on-one conversations. But if there's anything that you would like to see me cover in the channel or talk about, just let me know. You can also follow me on Instagram at fitzmindset. If you want to get daily motivation, you want to get daily tips on how to use your time better, how to get results as an entrepreneur, all that great stuff. But appreciate y'all, and I'll see you next time.